Back Congressman Brad Sherman. Congressman, welcome here to the programme. We're glad to hear from you. Now, in an interview in the last couple of days, Donald Trump gave himself an A+ for effort, a C+ for messaging. How did you rank that performance to Congress last night?
Well, certainly not an A+ for content. I think the tone, however, was much more subdued than all of his other speeches. Almost all of his speeches are given at rallies where people are standing up, or of course the inauguration where he had hundreds of thousands of people mostly standing up in a rally type situation. This was more subdued, and I think got him a lot more support among my Republican colleagues.
I mean, after that election win, he talked about unifying America. We've seen a very bumpy, divisive month. Can you unite a country on the agenda he's just laid out again?
I don't think so. We've had many presidents say we're going to get more united, and we've never been more divided, at least not in my lifetime. So it's going to be difficult. I did like the paragraph that Ivanka wrote in the speech, the one about child care and paid maternity leave for one or both parents. I think there was some stuff in the speech that Democrats can get in behind if Trump's serious.
So bits you can get behind. What are you going to oppose? What stood out for you from what you heard that you know now you are going to oppose tooth and nail?
Well, obviously this effort to get rid of Obamacare, although for many years Republicans have been saying so, it's just repeal. They voted to repeal it over 50 times. Now it's repeal and replace. I hope it just becomes repeal and republish. It's going to be very difficult to offer the benefits of Obamacare without all of Obamacare, or what we call the Affordable Care Act. What worried me the most was his statements before the speech, where he talks about cutting the State Department and foreign aid and our international broadcasting by 37%.
But he's got to do that, doesn't he? You know, when he outlines spending on infrastructure of $1 trillion, when defense spending is going to go up $54 billion, he's got to find that money from those areas that he touched upon, doesn't he?
Well, if you cut our efforts at peace by a few $billion, maybe that's why you need to increase our expenditures for war by $60 billion or thereabouts. So I think that if you want to be fiscally responsible, spend the money on talking.
Dick Cheney once said deficits don't matter. Do you think we're back to those days of actual big government, despite some of the things Donald Trump has said along the way?
Well, he's going to massively increase the deficit, and everybody cares about the deficit, just not as much as they care about everything else. He wants giant tax cuts for business, giant tax cuts for individuals, huge additional spending on the military, and he's promised a lot of infrastructure. That adds up to a giant deficit.
He got a lot of applause across the aisle when he was talking about extinguishing IS. Lawmakers on both sides, a huge, thunderous applause when Donald Trump paid tribute to Ryan Owens, the Navy SEAL who died on that raid in Yemen. I'll ask you about that in a moment, but I just want to play for our viewers that moment from the President.
We are blessed to be joined tonight by Corinne Owens, the widow of U.S. Navy Special Operator, Senior Chief William Ryan Owens. Ryan died as he lived, a warrior and a hero, battling against terrorism and securing our nation.
Congressman, what did you make of that? You were there listening. Was that a moment where people looked and thought, that is a presidential moment from Donald Trump?
Well, it's an easy thing for a president to do. We all applaud those who fight for us, who put their lives on the line, and of course the families of those who who die in battle. But when a president tries to cloak himself in the applause, that's his programs aren't any better just because the widow of a serviceman is there in the audience.
That's what you were thinking he was doing, trying to cloak himself. I mean, that's quite a charge.
He's trying to get support for his policies, and he got applause not only for the servicemen, but also people who survived terrible and rare diseases. I wish he had. I wish his program was solid enough that it would get applause from both sides of the aisle. Obviously, we would all applaud those who survive terrible illnesses, those who die in the line of battle, and so many other heroes in our country.
Just on a more general note, I mean, the Democrats looked utterly shell-shocked after that election results. You, amongst others, have been grappling as a party to know quite how to oppose Donald Trump. Is it clear in your mind, going forward, how you're going to do that?
Well, I wasn't that surprised when he won, because we've seen declining incomes of those, especially with those without college educations. We've seen a 19% decline in family incomes this century. And we've had terrible trade deals. Donald is doing this, or the President Trump is doing this bait and switch, where he says he's for eliminating the trade deficit, and yet he's doing absolutely nothing with regard to China. He has the authority under our laws to impose additional tariffs or to threaten to do so. He's done none of that. And our exports to China face the same Communist Party barriers and requirements.
When you say bait and switch, you'd actually like to see him do some of those things he said he'd do.
I would like to see a sensible and highly aggressive plan to force China to open its markets to our exports and to eliminate the trade deficit. If we could eliminate even half of the trade deficit just with China, we would have a labor shortage in America, and Wall Street would be very upset because they'd be paying much higher wages.
Just a final thought. I was listening to Tina Brown yesterday giving an interview, and she predicted that Donald Trump's war with the media over the coming months would morph into a war with Congress as he gets snared up with actually trying to bring into fruition many of the things he said last night. Is that how you see it, that in the coming months there is going to be almost a war against Congress and struck as a almost Congress thwarting the will of the people?
You know, he's going to have a hard time doing that. He needs Republican support to stymie the investigations into his campaign, which either did or didn't conspire with Russia and Putin. He can't go to war with an institution that is majority Republican. He will attack congressional Democrats. He thinks that when he is going to war with the media, he's going to war with a group that's majority liberal or majority non-Republican. So I think that much as you might prefer that he's going after me, I think he's coming after you.
Well, Congressman, we are very grateful for your time. Thanks very much for being here on the program. Thank you.